Hi everyone, welcome to our CATS. So this is the second video of our NABARD strategy videos. In this video, we'll see despite the odds why three types of candidates have better probability of success. On surface, these candidates appear at disadvantage due to less time, busy life, less experience. However, as always, data and logic come to our rescue, and we'll see how there is more to that meets our eye. This is in continuation of our previous video on NABARD strategy. Watch the other video later to gain better understanding. So let's start. We'll start first with Parkinson's law. So what exactly the law is? It's about how work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. This has been observed in all types of domains and fields, and it shows that having more time to do a task does not necessarily mean that you will do it better. In fact, your chances of wasting that extra time are high. The Parkinson's law reminds us that time is a metric that cannot be trusted. When we have time, we want to do things in so much perfect way that we spend time unnecessarily on a certain task. So connected with law of diminishing marginal utility. So this is the law of diminishing marginal utility. So as per law, after a certain point of time, even if you are devoting the time into this task, it does not necessarily translate into results. So coming on to the second, similar and more popular version, 80-20 rule. It says for many events, roughly 80% of effects come from 20% of the causes. So 20% of the input, this is the input, is responsible for 80% of the results. So now you are aware about these two results. We will take you forward in the video, and now time has come to end the suspense. So what are these three candidates? So first of all, the working candidates, freshers and UPSC candidates. So if you are not from these categories, then I would advise you to save your time and not watch the video, because it might not be very useful to you. So working candidates, freshers and UPSC candidates are the one who should watch this video to the end and imbibe and internalize these lessons. So why these three? Why typically these three only? So on its surface, it might look like these candidates are a disadvantage. They have less time, they have less experience, and they have other priorities. But these are the things which can be used in their benefit also. So what are the characteristics of these three candidates? First of all, they respect their time. So if it's a working candidate or a fresher or a UPSC candidate, they have other priorities also. So whenever they are investing time in something, they do it very seriously, and it yields in very high productivity. Second, sense of urgency. Again, mostly due to same reasons, whenever they are doing something, they take it as an urgent basis so that they can get back to their original purpose as soon as possible. And third, they believe in prioritization based study, because they need to balance between different tasks in their personal as well as professional life. So these three things are the characteristics of the candidates which we feel have better chances than others despite all these odds. So now the most crucial part of the video, what are the strategies that these people can adopt to increase their chances? So we'll start with the first one, that is time boxing. Time boxing is a very powerful technique. Other than this video, I would advise you to go to Wikipedia and go to other well-known publications and read more about it. So essentially it means by assigning the right amount of time to a task, we gain back more time, and the task will reduce in complexity to its natural state. Part of reversing what we have indoctrined with is to see the deadlines you set for yourselves as unbreakable. So the most crucial part about time boxing is your deadlines should be unbreakable. If you have set up 25 minutes for a task, then finish the task in 25 minutes only. As soon as the 25 minutes are over, you are not going to touch the same thing again. So this is the most crucial thing about time boxing. And then three other aspects of time boxing. It should be short, structured and stated goals. By short, I mean that each task you are completing is ideally no longer than 25 to 30 minutes. The more time you give yourself in a time box, the less likely you will be able to focus on finishing the task. So keep your breaks or keep the sprints very short. Second, structured. I mean that there is a range of actions in a sprint that will help you accomplish your goal. These actions include setting goals, completing tasks in pursuit of that goal, taking breaks, and so forth. So now coming on to the third aspect, the by stated goals. It means that you should know exactly what you are trying to accomplish in each sprint. At the end of each time box, you should be able to say with certainty whether you accomplished what you had intended or not, and why. Only start a sprint if you know exactly what you are trying to achieve in that time period, and that you should be ready to give your 100% into the task. So if you follow these three principles along with unbreakable deadlines, you will gain highly productive results out of time boxing. Strategy number 2 is a variant of time boxing itself. This is known as Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique is nothing but time boxing of 25 minutes and then taking break of 5 minutes. So there are many apps available on Android as well as iOS app. Please try to install that and just try it for 2 hours. So you will complete around 25 into 4 Pomodoros in this time, and just try to compare your productivity in these 4 Pomodoros with that of real life productivity or the normal productivity. So the principle behind Pomodoro is nothing. It works on the basis that memories are created by neurons firing in the brain. So neurons are the, you can call them wires in the brain. So for these memories to become embedded or internalized, the neurons have to be left undisturbed for a period of time. And this is done by taking a short break of 5 minutes. Another benefit with UPSC and working candidates is we advise them to devote not more than 4 to 5 hours per day for NABARD preparation, so that they can balance between their other needs also. So when they are studying for 4-5 hours and then taking a break of 20-25 hours, again the neurons, they are being left undisturbed. So this led to internalization of whatever they have read for NABARD. Coming to strategy number 3, control your ego. It looks simple but it's not easy. Generally people have a tendency to become expert in any topic that they are reading, and it is very harmful. So this is one saying that we repeat again and again, that perfect is the enemy of good. There have been many variants of the same, and also in the last video we talked about the effect where the less aware you are about a topic, more confident you feel. So this leads to pursuit of perfection, which is very harmful. So effectively trying to make something perfect can actually prevent us from making it just good, and in many cases just good is sufficient enough. Instead of pushing yourself to an impossible perfect and getting nowhere, accept the good, be satisfied with it. Success in this manner is more likely to be gradual. It may feel good but it won't necessarily feel perfect. So be content with good. Coming on to the last thing, smart studying technique, or we call it leverage. You need to leverage what are the things that are available with you. So Archimedes once said, give me a lever and a place to stand and I can move the whole world. So same goes with you. Leverage is all about using your current strength to your advantage. So what are the components of leveraging or smart study technique? First of all, compact learning and high yielding topics. Please first done with all these things. This we have covered in our NABARD syllabus very well. Second, mnemonics and memory tricks. These are essentially nothing but it is a trick or tool, or you can say techniques to complete a content in a less amount of time. Third, active learning. This is good for active learning. Active learning is spaced repetition, the tools for internalization of the content. Another important thing that I would like to state is be ruthless with your time and outsource non-productive activities, be in personal or professional life. So do not get involved with cooking and all these household activities. Please try to outsource it. Your time is more valuable than all these things. Even the note making techniques, just rely on a cat's notes. It's more than sufficient. You would be wasting a lot of time, and then you will realize that note making is not something which you should be doing. Instead, you should be focusing on leveraging ready-made notes and personalizing it a little bit to suit your needs rather than making it from scratch altogether. It's a non-productive exercise. Avoid it. Last, bet on the right minds. Obviously, that's a catch. So, what's the catch? Can anyone just follow these techniques and he can be successful in NABARD or other exams? Absolutely no. We are not magicians. As I mentioned earlier, we are just helping you leverage your innate capabilities and strengths. So, who are these people who are eligible to gain from ACADS course? First of all, you should be very good with your basic stuffs. So, if I take example of ESI, in ARD it's all about memorizing. There is no need to be good with agriculture or rural development. Just have to memorize the content that we are giving you, and it won't be more than around 120 or 110 pages. In ESI, you need to have your basics clear. So if you are reading ESI for the first time, then we are sorry, when ACADS can't help you. But this is just a small test to check if you are good with the ESI or if you can leverage ACADS course. So first of all, like, you should be good with basic concepts. Can you tell me the difference between NSE and Nifty? Can you tell me or discuss with me about the impact of lowering interest rate on inflation? Or what about relation between depreciation and export? Similarly, how GDP, gross domestic product, is different from gross national product. If you are able to answer around 3 to 4 questions out of these 4 questions, then I think you can use the course and you can leverage it. Fourth thing you should keep in mind, 25-5 or time boxing techniques. It looks easy that you just have to study for 25 minutes, but the problem is when you study for 25 minutes, it is very intensive. So you need to get acquainted with this practice, then only you would be able to leverage it. Third, quitting is always an option for all these candidates. So if I'm talking about from the point of view of working candidates, they know they have a backup job. So whenever things get difficult or whenever they feel that it's getting too intensive, they always have an option of quitting. Same goes for UPSC candidates. Their main focus is UPSC, and the freshers, they feel that we are just starting off and just a trial exam. So quitting is always easy for these candidates. So this is something that you need not consider as an even option. It is non-negotiable thing. So if you are getting into the prep, if you are joining ACADS, then you need to give your 100% to the exam. So now I'm going to end this lecture with one law, ACADS law, and this is what something our whole philosophy is based on. That same amount of content can be condensed in the number of pages that are available to you. So suppose most of the institutes, if I talk about NABARD syllabus, they use 2000-3000 pages to complete the NABARD syllabus only, where in case of the ACADS, the pages are hardly 200 or 300. Why? Again, because of the another variant of Parkinson's law that we are giving the name ACADS law. Same amount of content can be condensed to any number of pages, provided you are smart and genius enough and you know what exactly is to be taught to the learners. So yes, thank you.